much. I'm so sorry. I really well, my excuse that I'm not getting the computer thing is, well, I'm North Korean, so what do you expect? It's of course joke. I should learn. I'm sorry what happened. I miss you so much. And today I have a very exciting topic to talk to you about is because um, I've been getting a lot of attacks from the Maoist, Leninist, Marxist, Communist, Socialist. I mean, any East you can think of being attacking me. And then my argument with them has been always, okay, so if you really think that America is the worst country to be in and North Korea is the best country to go to, then why don't you immigrate to North Korea? And they all said, yes, I do want to go to North Korea. I do want to immigrate to North Korea. So I did a lot of research over the weekend, and then what happens when American or Canadian or South Korean immigrate to North Korea, what happens to them? Anyway, so that's gonna be our topic today, and I know that nobody's planning to go here, right? But you guys all love freedom, but if there are people who want to go to North Korea, we have no reason to stop them. So hopefully I'm trying to be helpful here. But good to see you, John. Good to see you, Mary. Hello from Michigan. Thank you so much for joining today. I know this is gonna be very interesting live. And anyway, happy Tuesday. Thank you for joining in. Love you, Ari and Brianna. Thank you, guys. So anyway, you do have a freedom to immigrate to North Korea if you want to. Technically, if you do immigrate to North Korea right now, the regime gonna accept you with open arms. So this is a tricky thing about North Korea. You are free to enter, but you are not free to exit. So you might go there with your free will, but the regime not gonna let you go back if you wanna return. So this has happened to many people who actually immigrate to North Korea from other countries, especially from Japan. There's a lot of diaspora of Koreans who left Korea during the Korean War or the Japanese colonialism, and then they missed their homeland, so they went back to North Korea. And then what happened was, as soon as they got there, they regretted, but the regime never let them go back. So thank you, Kevin. Hi. So basically, currently, based on my research shows, when you enter North Korea, the regime kind of helps you for the first 5 years. So they are gonna give you the free housing, yeah, it's a socialist system, why not? And they're gonna give you public rations. However, in this free housing, you do not choose where you're gonna live in North Korea. The regime assigns the place that you get to live. And then the public ration means it's not like you get steak, butter, eggs. They're gonna give you some mixed corn, barley, and different grains. And then give you 1 bottle of soybean oil, a little bit small bottle of, soy sauce, and some kilograms of potatoes. And that's what you get when you go to that country. But when you are initially enter the country, you have a lot of value to the regime because the North Korean regime brainwashed its own population saying that entire universe, entire humanity wanna come to North Korea. Like, we literally have a song called Nothing to Envy because everybody wants to be like us, that we are living in the best country in the world. So they say they are gonna use those immigrants from America, Canada, Japan, South Korea and go there, and then they're gonna put them on the national television and then showing it to North Korean people how these people are admiring North Korean system. Thank you, Paulius. Anyway, so after that process ends and the regime usually do not treat you that well, they send you in the countryside, a lot of them ending up in the concentration camp. And some Americans are user value because they make a lot of anti-American movies, and then they're using these white people in those movies because you cannot really find immigrants who are different race in North Korea. So Derek, as a gay British man, am I safe if I visit North Korea under Kim's regime? So, right. So that's not about the immigration question, but visiting. maybe you would be safe if you go, but there are like hundreds of different rules that you have to follow. And I don't think you can hold your boyfriend's hand and, you know, show your love for your partner there, because North Korea do not acknowledge that does exist at the moment. 감사합니다, 김정은님. 매번 이렇게 와주셔가지고. Anyway, so, and another benefit of the people I recommend them to immigrate to North Korea is that it's not a really benefit. There were cases in South Korea. There were people who had a lot of debt. And then where do you go, right? North Korea, because that's the last place that any debt collector gonna come after you. So some South Koreans actually escaped to North Korea to avoid their debt collectors. And then initially the regime do let you stay in touch with your families who are outside of North Korea. So how it does that, the regime tell you and then make sure that what you write, everything is being watched, and then let you contact your family members and ask them to send the money to them. Then regime takes 90% of the money that relatives sent, and then 10% goes to your actual relative. So if your cousin escaped to North Korea, they might be able to reach you and ask for money, then you send the money, and that 90% the money goes to regime and 10% ends up in your relative's hand. So that is another benefit of being an immigrant in North Korea than being a North Korean, is because you at least have access to the outside the world in a very limited capacity. So Brianna, thank you. The interesting info on North Korea. We will purchase your books and thank you so much. And so yeah, this is a reason because I've been baffled. How many people think America is the worst country to be in? How the West is the worst place to be in? And how much they are praising China, Russia, Venezuela, Cuba, and North Korea. So I'm really trying to tell them what's gonna happen when they leave the country. So thank you so much, Rebecca. And this is the thing, like America, you have a passport, you can leave the country freely if you want to, but not North Koreans do not have that choice. So if anybody think that North Korea is better, I recommend you so. So anyway, the other one is if you go there, what's gonna happen to your job? Which means the regime gonna tell you what to do. You know, they would place you in the collective farm. They're gonna tell you which region to go, which factory to work. So you don't have any choice. What country are you in? So I'm in Chicago, USA. I know. Marty, Luz, thank you so much. And then another fascinating thing about going to North Korea as an immigrant is you're not gonna have a dating apps. You will not choose your own partner. The regime gonna choose a partner for you. It's like they do that with more immigrants. So those Japanese, South Koreans, other countries people come, the regime always assign them with each other. So they don't mingle with the general North Korean population. So well, even if you go to North Korea, you are not gonna get to marry to North Korean people usually. You're gonna marry some other immigrants that is, you know, shared by the public. And usually the Japanese immigrants marry Japanese. The other countries, some from African countries, other countries, they marry each other and they live in a very segregated area. And in North Korea, you don't have freedom of movement. So even when you go to North Korea, guys, you're not gonna get to travel the country like you do here. So that is another option. And there's no freedom whatsoever. You might bring tons of money, go there. I think it's the thing. In North Korea, there's one thing that you cannot buy. You literally can buy anything if you have money because the country is so corrupt. There's no rule of law. If you have money, you can buy anything. Just not the freedom. If you go to a country, the regime gonna decide what you wear, what kind of haircut you get, what to watch, what to read, you know, what to listen to. And so even if you bring money with you, well, mostly it's gonna taken by the regime and you are never gonna get that freedom. Earbron, right? Thank you so much. And another is, in North Korea, there's no emergency course. So when you go to North Korea, just expect that there's no gender equality. There is nothing called like women and men equal. Daily life, women get beaten by their husband. And domestic violence is not even considered to be a violence. It's not even a reason to be granted for divorce. Last time I was talking about this, like, going to the court and say my husband beats me is not a reason to get granted for a divorce. Therefore, if you go to North Korea, if you're a woman, just imagine that you're gonna be beaten by men all the time, and then you have no place to call. There's no like police number to call. There's no 911. There's no gas. There's no cars. There's nothing coming on your way to help you out. And then other thing is, in your house, as I said, you are gonna get some public ration that North Koreans don't get, but you're not gonna have the running water. You're not gonna have a shower. You're not gonna have a refrigerator. You're not gonna have public transportation. You are not gonna have a bath, and you're not gonna have grocery stores. You're not gonna have a shopping malls or department store. That's gonna be the life. So 일본 again, they are going to have to negotiate or liberate. Yeah, this is the thing. Like it just. But why do you guys think so though? Given this bizarreness, how this grotesque treatment of humanity, the human rights is so violated, why there are so many people brainwashed in the West and saying things like that North Korea is better than America? And I got into this debate on Twitter one day. They were keep saying like how wonderful North Korea was. It's like, okay, why don't you then go to North Korea? And they said, oh, I just don't have money to buy an airplane ticket to go to North Korea. It's like, okay, you should do it. Maybe I will pay for it. Then they were like, thousands of them wanted me to buy the one-way ticket to North Korea. So it's like, no, I cannot afford it. I thought it was like one person I could. I don't know if they were joking with me or like this many seriously people in the West trying to escape America, like freedom. Yoshi, so you're here. I'm watching all your videos, documentaries, and reading your book. Question. What's the South Koreans' attitude towards reunification? Has it changed with generations? That's a good question. South Koreans are interesting. They are Western-minded, but they are still very conservative. So, for instance, if you are a rape victim, they blame you. They blame you that you got raped. And they still do not let the North Koreans assimilate as much, and if you have an northern accent, you get made fun of in South Korea, and especially young generation, they do not even think of North Korea as the same Korea. They call them like foreign country, because even though they have thousands of shared history nowadays, right? Imagine 30 years ago in America, 60s, 70s, even 50 years ago, that was a different lifetime. Our life is changing so fast as the technology develops. So in a way, it makes sense that why South Koreans do not feel that connection to North Korea as the same country. And young South Koreans in the South don't want to pay for that reunification cost. So they usually vote the politicians that wouldn't want the reunification. So man, again, thank you so much. So why Kim Jong-il always used the Mao suit, and that suit he always had. He never used a Western suit. Kim Il-sung used both Western suit and Mao suit. Kim Jong-un uses both Mao suit and Western suit. Thank you so much for the question. I can tell you really follow North Korea closely. So why these dictators are the biggest manipulators? The system, entire thing based on manipulation and twist the reality and brainwashing you, lie to you. So they twisted the vision that North Koreans had, and then had to convince us that we should be grateful to be under the control of the Kims, right? And to do that, if he was wearing the Mao suit, it gives you more an image of benevolent, working hard, humble leader. I mean, entire thing is a show. Even for Kim Jong-il, is a whole show that he puts up, and that's why a lot of times he just uses a body double to do it, and it's so boring for him too. Imagine you do the exact same show every single day. You go to the military base, you go to orphanage, you go to some towns and show the image of that you are a caring leader, and then like doing the exact same thing over and over for the 30 years of your reign. It's gonna bore to them too. So they don't usually go. They have parties with this pleasure squad, and then instead of themselves, they send them like their body doubles. And that Mao suit looks very humble appearance, and this is why it is so dangerous that when we choose a leader, not based on the policy or their principles, but how they project their image. If they are so obsessed, project image of like, oh, I'm here for the weak, I'm here for the people who are oppressed, but then their policies are not, it causing so much unseen damage. I think that's where we really go wrong, even in the West. Like now you see, they were portraying Trump as somebody who was not standing up, like those children in the cage. And then like Biden or Democratic Party is some like the benevolent people who stand up for very oppressed people. But in reality, the Democrats, but like lefts in the mainstream is siding with CCP and like not highlighting the crisis that Xinjiang Uyghurs or North Koreans are facing. And in reality, Trump was the one calling out China for their crime against humanity. So there is that's the thing, but humans are so easy to decept. I think that's what I learned. We are very easy to be deceived if somebody projects image of benevolent leader, and that they are with you to share that struggle. So Kim Jong-un, and I literally believed even until I escaped afterwards that Kim Jong-il was starving like me, that he wouldn't sleep, he was working tireless for me, like my heart literally broke for him, and because they were so good at make me believe that they were suffering, and then I was grateful to have him. Anyway, that was a great question. So here, Marty, Liberator pistols airdrop to all. Would it work? Liberator pistols to airdrop to all. I mean, nowadays the exciting trend that is happening is the North Korean people in general. Actually, you can even purchase the guns in the black market. So that has been a new trend. And if more North Koreans become armed, I do think there's a real chance that for them to standing up against the regime. So that could be a great idea if there's a way we can do it. Okay, let's see. Here is, sorry, I'm missing so many questions. So Paul, thank you so much. Hey Gabriel, I wish you happy Chuseok. Yeah, Chuseok is a Thanksgiving for Korea today. It's heartbreaking that you can spend it with your family and loved ones. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, for North Korean defectors, like a holidays doesn't mean anything to us because we lost all our families, and Korean Thanksgiving is very heavily based on connecting with your ancestors, visit their graves, and meet your family. But North Koreans, when we escape, we lose all of us. So yeah, usually we are alone. But this year, for American Thanksgiving, I am trying to host a dinner with my North Korean fellow defector friends. I will share with you guys some pictures afterwards. So Kainer, as I say, why wouldn't Kim want to open up the country to international commerce given his education, thus delivering the people from poverty and bestowing opportunities to his people? He could be hero. Exactly, that could be. But the thing is, guys, you gotta understand that, like, he's utterly paranoid, right? That if he opens up the economy, right next door is South Korea that is so prosperous, people enjoying freedom of speech and religion, all those things. So when you open up that, even in China right now, of course, Xi Jinping is changing a bit, that he's trying to become the immortal god that Mao was. And recently, until Xi Jinping, Chinese presidents were not those guys like a god. But Kim Jong-un have a different status of power. He's literally a god to North Korean people. So I think Kim Jong-un is really afraid that if he opens up the country and open up the economy, people gonna start demanding political freedom, like South Koreans are. Because, that biggest threat to North Korea is South Korea, that people, same genetic components, same history, enjoying so much prosperity. And that's why they are even more paranoid than China has been. But eventually though, I think it's miscalculation on I don't know what ends. It seems like dictators can last forever as long as they have a zero tolerance policy that North Korea has, right? Why there is no like Nelson Mandela in North Korea? Not because there hasn't been anyone fighting for their freedom, because the just regime got this like 3 to 8 generation punishment, this like complete zero tolerance policy. And I really recommend you guys to watch this Netflix series, Dictator's Handbook, right? Like a lot of dictators tried. And why North Korea lost is because they are that evil. They are that cruel. They do not tolerate any kind of possibility of rebellion. And when you do that, it seems like history proves that you can maintain your power. Even though you enslave, you starve, you torture so much human suffering, regardless of all of that, you all maintain that control. And when the Gaddafi, when he got, as he got older later, he became softer, that's when the people revolted. So Kim Jong-un understands that he can never be softer. Only way he can keep going is being more aggressive, more vicious, more evil, more intolerant, creating even bigger fear. When Kim Jong-il's time and Kim Il-sung time, they stoned people, they executed with guns. Kim Jong-un uses aircraft guns to make the people into dust when they execute people. Because now execution is not even enough. You gotta use a even bigger method of killing people. And it's sad to know human nature, that how effective fear is when it comes being ruled by dictators. But ultimately, somehow, fear works. And look at even in America, guys, right now, that our fear of losing our job, our fear of being condemned, being a racist, or like being censored on social media is enough for people, most of people to, it's comply, right? Like, even though so many laws make zero sense right now in this going through this pandemic, right? Like looking at these pictures at the Emmy Awards, like the Met Gala. My son who needs to put the mask. These people, adult people, don't have to wear a mask, and how somehow they are not fine. They are not infecting each other. And now they're demonizing children, saying that they are the reservoir for pandemic to spread. Like, you do not demonize people, especially children. It's so inherently evil about that when you demonize humans. But because of the fear, I'm saying it, that I know there's a complete risk of me shutting the Google to shut down my channel. But that's all it takes. That little fear is enough people to comply and stop fighting for what is right and speak their minds. So, how do we not blame North Koreans that they don't stand up? Because, for them, the real cost for them to standing up is losing 8 generations of your life. Anyway, so sorry guys. Here, so Yoshi again, Kim Jong-un, why unmake an election with just his name to solidify favorable opinions towards him? Don't the people already know he's the only one? Are they ruled by fear than love compared to our other leaders? So, well, it is bizarre, right, for us, that why do you even conduct the election? Because on the ballot box, there's only one guy, that is Kim Jong-un, and it's an open election too. Like, everybody can see who you vote when you vote. And then it's also mandatory vote. If you don't vote, you go to a labor camp in North Korea. But then, in a country, like, when you are in this, like, God, right? Like, why Kim Jong-un had to become a God? It's a thing. It's a not all religion is bad. There is a religion that shines the truth and becomes the light and help the humanity move forward and make us more loving and more tolerant. And there are some religion is very dogmatic, and we don't deny there's always extreme versions of that. But one benefit of being a God is that when you are God, you don't need to make a sense. Like, you don't need a logic to explain to people. Because all you can say is like, how dare you, as a mere human, how do you challenge God's higher way of thinking, higher way? Like, this is the thing, like, you never understand God's intentions, so you just have to accept it and then wait, somehow keep praying and then finding ways to connect the dots eventually, right? You do not need to make sense. So I think that's why a lot of things that regime does just makes zero sense to us, but it makes sense to North Korean people, because for North Koreans, like, we are so brainwashed to believe that they are like not human beings. So we don't question that. It's not bizarre to us. And also, second of all, we don't even know those like plural party system. We don't know the other countries have different parties and like different candidates. So we think that's how the election is being done. And that's why and then if you have election, North Korea still get to call themselves DPRK, right? Democratic Republic Peoples of Korea. So it's all, again, that show they put up. So sorry guys, I know I need to be a lot quicker to answer your questions. Thank God today internet is good. So I guess getting new internet worked. Thank you, RKS51. I love the emoji. So why cannot Kim Jong-un? Wow, so Yeonmi would never date me in a free country. You're hilarious. Yeah, no, I mean, so when you were in South Korea, did you travel by bullet trains or other type of trains? Yes, I have. Traveled in South Korea in the bullet train, and it is sad to see America infrastructure wise how much it's behind. As much as I love this country, there's a cultural ideology war going on. We could have spent so much energy building this country, beautiful country, better roads, better train, better schools. But the country is so utterly divided. In a way, they don't even understand how much they are behind when it comes to infrastructures compared to a lot of Asian countries and European countries. And it is true that so much parts. I think that's why one of the things that Trump talking about was, the infrastructure in America is like third world. When you land in JFK and you're looking at the road, you really, it's hard to believe this is the best country in the world, because when you land in other countries in Asia, I mean, it's this shiny like thing that takes you in a bullet like speed, and in America it's like trains taking forever. So yeah, I mean, we have so much to do in this country. I mean, why we are spending that energy to censor what is a hate speech and what is, like all those like wrong speeches. We should devote same energy to build things, make things work. I think this is the difference between Asian mindset and being in America right now, is that Asians want things to work. A lot of times all we want is like, does it work? Is it efficient? But in America, it's like, that's not it. It's just so everything politicized, everything. Even though me saying like I want the infrastructure to be better, I don't know how it's gonna be taken. So it's just not helping anybody at this point to be having this attitude. So Brent, Yeonmi, will you be my economics tutor? No, I'm horrible at economics, guys. I know, it's like I studied econ at Columbia for 2 years. I learned so much, but yeah, I'm not that good. So Rebecca, thank you. Off topic, but can you share the kind of makeup, skincare you use? I am a MUA and your skin and makeup is lovely. What is MUA? I know a lot of people say like, why your skin is so oily? Well guys, in Korea we call it glowy. There's a big difference between glowy and oily. Oily is like something you don't wash, so on the surface there's like a lot of oil comes out. Glow is like coming inherently from so much full of moisture shining through. So basically I don't use a powder or foundation that American makeup use that kills your skin. I have a video I will share with you at the end. Thank you for your support though. Anyway, so let's keep going to the questions. Here we are. A makeup artist, okay. MUA is a makeup artist, okay. Wow, that's a lot of short terms. Anyway, so that was I know, another thing that, I'm glowy, you're so funny. So Melara, with the amount of potters around my home city, you don't need speed bumps. What is a potholes? Oh, okay, exactly. In Chicago is unbelievable too. So puzzled is like a question. Have you seen the video where North Korea marched to the beaches? God bless you, and I will support any way I can. Oh, thank you. I have to look that up. So another thing that I've been reading about China is that comparing to America, and it's a real threat that China gonna be becoming #1. I do really recommend you guys to read this book called Invisible China. I've been learning so much is that, it's as much as China, like, so last time I had this my Patreon Google Hangouts. So on my Patreon, guys, I do have a Google Hangouts often and exchange ideas. I learn from them and they get to teach me something. And then there was a person joined in a Russian name and didn't speak until like 50 first minutes of the Google Hangout. And then the last time he turned on the video, he almost gave me a heart attack. He was wearing Kim's badges, the dictator's badges, and behind him was a Stalin portrait, Xi Jinping portrait, and Kim Jong-il portrait. And then told me, what are you gonna say that the poverty that China was able to like rescue a lot of people from poverty, given that reason isn't enough for us to praise China? And I was saying, like, China didn't left these people from poverty. Free market did. That's the thing. Like, that's what free market did. Every country that tries free market, many people become rich, and then their standard of living going up. And the new problem that China is facing is, I'm gonna go to that, but let me answer your question first. So Yoshi is like, do you have a specific schedule for a day of the month where you do Google Hangouts? I usually in the beginning of the month I do that, but I can, from now on moving forward, I can set a date so everybody can work around the schedule. But for now, I'm usually doing the first beginning of the month. So LDS German Shepherd Boy, 새해 축복을 많이 받으세요. 감사합니다. I remember reading somewhere that Kim Il-sung's Korean wasn't as good to begin with. Why did North Koreans support him? Because he left Korea very early on. Korea was colonized by Japan. He went to Manchuria. He went to Soviet Union. So I bet his Korean wasn't excellent. The reason why North Koreans support him was they have no choice. But also though, he did get support because he did promise. He was very appealing to peasants, right? The people who were uneducated. And this is another video that I thought about making. Why North Korea is so poor is that the people who got power under this regime wasn't the people who actually were intellectuals or the religious leaders. They were the people who were peasants and who were criminals, who wasn't happy, right? Even during the Japanese colonialism, if people worked hard, they could get rewarded. But these people didn't want to work hard. And then when Kim Il-sung came, he said, the reason you are poor is because of the oppressors, like the capitalists. The reason you are poor is because of your enemies. And then he gave power to these like gangs, the people who didn't want to work, and also the people who were peasant, but mostly they were not educated at all. And Kim Jong-un got rid of all the entrepreneurs. He executed all the professors. people who were owning the lands, who were able to understand economics. All those people, intellectuals, are gone under Kim Il-sung. And people loved him because he said, the reason you are poor is not because of you, it's because somebody else, because of the oppressors. And right, it is always hard to think it's your problem that you are not developing, right? That the self-responsibility is the hardest thing you can do. And when you can blame your misery, why not? And Kim Il-sung knew that so well, that he was going to create an enemy, like what Hitler did, right? Because we have this depression, we have this economic hardship because of Jewish people. Exact same thing. Kim Il-sung used the exact same tactic, saying, it's not because of your laziness. It's not because of something's wrong with you. Just because of oppressors, you are miserable. Therefore, if you give me power and your liberty, I'm gonna go execute all these bad guys for you and make sure that you are gonna have a good life under this system. And a lot of people who did not even know how to read, it sounded so nice, isn't it? Like, what a dream is that you don't even talk about human nature. They just keep telling you everything gonna be fine, everything gonna be free, that in this under new system, all you have to do is just following the orders, then you're gonna have a great happy life, great healthcare, great education, great retirement, great country and food. And they just really believed him. And that, I know that the road to the hell always paved by good intentions. It is that truth. Whenever people pursue this utopia, we usually ending up in a complete misery. So Yoshi, again, if you feel comfortable sharing, you said that the guy that captured you and later freed you to South Korea needed help years later. How did you help him? I have sent his sister money. He was in prison, the man who bought me as a sex slave when I was 13. And then he got out of prison. He served in the prison for 10 years for not selling North Korean defector women. Chinese regime do not punish people, I think, for that as much. He committed a crime when he was in a gang member group, and then that's why he was punished for that for 10 years. And then he got out, and it was very painful for me to hear him again. And the reason why I chose to help him was, it wasn't even about forgiveness. At that point, I had zero hate against anybody, right? Like, I have a son, and I know human nature. Like, as much as I want to believe that human nature is good, that humans inherently like know how to do good, but no, we need to build our characters, and we need to go through education. And he was born in a country there was zero morality. He did not know. He did not even go to elementary school. All he knew was how to survive in that corrupt communist society. And as much as he did something so unspeakable, I also know that he was in a way also a victim. If he was born in a nice family in America, in a middle class, went to school, I'm sure he would not become a rapist, right? So why we do what we do is so complicated. Once I understood that, like, there's no reason for me to even hate anybody, hate any man. So I think that's why I just want to take the action. It wasn't like I was saying I just forgive him, but if I really actually was able to help him financially, I thought, I was honest with my words. But I never wanted to engage further. And so I chose, almost that was for me to get a closure from chapter of my life there. And yeah, since then I never see him in my dreams, and I got complete peace from that part. So yeah. Anyway, so Malala is like, anyone wanting to go to North Korea, send them round trip, less of those clowns here, less people trying to destroy this country. I'd be willing to sponsor the one-way trip for a couple. That's funny. It'd be really interesting, isn't it? I really think if there's a fund that we can set up, guys, and then we actually buy these people one-way trip to North Korea, I really wonder how many would go. Because these people, all they're doing is talking, right? So yeah, I mean, I just did not know how that many people wanted to go. I thought it was one person, but like hundreds of them were attacking me. I was like, yeah, I don't have that money, like buying 500 tickets to North Korea. And then it's amazing, like how many people believe such a thing even. So anyway, so here, more questions. Here, Brent again, I saw your old documentary on SBS Australia and it was fascinating. Also, it's crazy your trolls are joining Patreon sets. They are paying you now. I know, it's like, I mean, we all know that spies are everywhere, even North Koreans on my Patreons. Right now, North Koreans in this chat. And there are Chinese spies on there too. And that's the thing, like it is a actual battle that we are having with the ideology battle that we are going in. So I knew that they were like there, but just seeing it, how they are just open to show their face, who they are even. But I do, whatever their intentions are, their intention is like watching me and spying on me and seeing my moves or reporting back to North Korea what I'm saying. I don't know, whatever their intentions are. I do think they deserve a platform to speak their minds. I'm not there to silence who they are. I know those profiles on my Patreon, but I never like ban them. I never like get rid of them. It's like, yeah, I mean, I keep saying First Amendment. How can I do that to them? So Marty, thank you so much. Hannah, so I just read your book and was shocked by your experience in China, but I was even more shocked by how you were treated by your fellow South Koreans. Thank God for the USA. Thank you. It is a thing, like, it's, I mean, even though people say, I mean, I don't know where do I begin, what a unique country this country is. Like, every single day I get emotional to think about it. Like, every single day I look at the US flag and I get overwhelmed, you know. Thank God for the USA, literally. This is a humanity's future. Like, I never knew humans could be this good until I came to America. I never knew humans could be this compassionate until I came to America. As the same exact Korean, had the same thousands of history of same Korea, going to South Korea. I thought they were going to embrace me as the same Korean. They didn't, because I was born in the northern part of Korea and because I had an accent. And there was actual systemic oppression where they say North Koreans could be a spy, so they cannot join the intelligence sector. They cannot even go to military at some point. You know, you, as a North Korean, if you want to serve your country joining the military, they said, no, you cannot join the military. And they were going back and forth that law right now. So, and then America, here I am with learning English as an adult and then being accepted fully for the first time in my life. And what a unique country that we got here. So RKS again, thank you. Have you seen Hyo Just a Second video? Hyo Just a Second? I would love to see that. I don't know what that is. Sorry about that. Anyway, so last one is about what happens when you move to North Korea. Is that, of course, sorry, like all that things like public ration and no freedom, but I really recommend you guys to read this memoir written by a Japanese man who escaped North Korea with his parents, and then he escaped. I think a river flows in you. I will put in the later on this like description in the chat. It's you know, it is that's the thing, just don't buy the deception. I know people make that dumb choice and go to North Korea, and some Americans did that, and a lot of them, some of them were like criminals, and some of them were really just totally misled and going to North Korea. And as much it annoys me that people telling me that America is the worst country, I made this video not because trying to harm them or anybody if you thought so, really try to help you understand. I know it's sad that humans, once we are brainwashed, right? we only want to see what we want to see. That's a thing. That's a human nature. Like, no matter what the facts are, it seems like humans are not able to be objective. That we are selectively, we have this bias of the information that we choose to believe. And this is what shocked me at Colombia, was that, like, you guys have internet. You have tip of your finger, you have these libraries go to and looking for facts. And how can you believe that America's imperialism was the worst thing? Like, every civilization had a slavery, and China still enslaves North Korean people. So how on earth do you think that white man is the evil of everything? This is a complete propaganda. But then that's when I realized it is to be possible to be brainwashed, even the flow of information that is America. And I still don't know how to help people to open their minds. And whenever people now tell me, oh, you're brainwashed by people in the Fox and right-wingers, I'm like, hey guys, I live in Chicago, I live in New York, I went to Colombia. 90% of my friends right now still liberals and on the left. So if the one person that I need to be brainwashed is like by them, and they do not want to accept that I came to this conclusion is by free my choice. They don't think so. They don't want to accept that. They keep saying that I'm the one who is brainwashed. God will know who's actually brainwashed. And I think that's a thing. But still, I really hope that if this video helped you in understand this deception, this manipulative nature of this regime, this evil regime, and why that evil always disguised in the face of light, right? Like, this is something I later understood by Dennis Prager. Like, evil is so light, so bright that you cannot look into it. Because they disguise themselves as like, I'm on the side of oppressed. You know, I'm always for the people who's disbenefited. And I think conservatives are uniquely always concerned about the unintended parts of certain policies, right? So what are the, you know, unintended intentions of having certain social policy, like giving a benefit to these people, right? Giving this benefit to this group? What is actually the unseen part? But with the people in the left, they do not want to consider that. They do not want to consider the complexity of the society and human nature, and just do not want to see that part. And sometimes unseen part is way more important than what we can see at the moment. And I know it's we are living in an utterly divided world. It's a tragic. In this time of the day, I would have spent this energy to build this country and make things work. And I applied for U.S. citizenship this May at the end of April, and they told me it takes 8 to 11 months to hear from them that they accepted my application. Not to even like come, like do the interview or citizenship test, just hear from them they accepted my application, that they are processing it. So this is for South Korea, who live in South Korea, guys, this is a joke. This is the 21st century. For a government to be this bureaucratic, this much taking longer, well, we are in trouble. So yeah. Anyway, so Bert, do you think any members of the North Korean Friendship Association would consider immigrating to North Korea? Why would anyone join? A lot of them in Japan did, and they still give a lot of money to North Korean regime. This is the thing, like, when once you are brainwashed, it seems like you cannot get over it. I really want to talk to the psychologist or anybody who studies brain. Why is this the case, right? And yeah, so a lot of people at the moment, just they told me honestly, like, hey, give me money, I want to go to North Korea. And I was like, do you even know what happens to you if you go to North Korea? And I always believe that as much as human nature is complex and humans can do so much damage if they are not educated, but you know, it's a human rights. I care about human beings. That's why I'm trying to tell them this is what happens when you go. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna answer 3 more questions and then we're gonna say goodnight. So, man, have you visited Korean towns in some American cities like in Los Angeles and New York? Yes, I go both of them. It's my favorite parts of those cities. And yeah, it's that's the thing. Like when I come to America, the beauty of America is that yes, you do have to understand, respect, this constitution and the values that this country holds, and that's a beautiful thing. But also, America doesn't, blame you that you speak Korean and you pursue your traditions, and this is that's why I mean in I know that. So when I went to South Korea, they told as soon as I make a North Korean accent, they would laugh at me. They make fun of me as if my ethnicity, my background is some kind of inferior thing, that I'm a second citizen for them. They literally mock us, right? And when I came to America, so many people like, let me hear the North Korean accent. Like, what does it sound like? They just have this fascination. They don't have any judgment of like which culture is superior, which culture is lower. So after I came to America, I speak to my mom in North Korean accent now. And why do I have to abandon my culture because these people don't accept me, right? I'm willing to study English, but I didn't have to learn South Korean perfectly. So I'm becoming more North Korean right now while being in America. So Yoshi again, better to homeless in New York or elite in North Korea? That's a great question, right? Like so many people told me in America, like saying, oh, you're so brainwashed to think that America is a great place. Just look at the people on the homeless. And then I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. You have freedom to be a homeless. Like if you become a homeless in North Korea, they take you to the labor camps and send you to the detention camp, and they rape you there. They torture you, they starve you, and they put into forced labor if you become homeless in North Korea. And that's why I know this country is free. And this is the thing, I follow Americans who never seen the actual oppression. For them, is the worst thing is being a homeless. And I'm like, as a North Korean, like for me, that's unbelievable. You have that right to be homeless. It's not a joke for North Korean people, So in North Korea, it's illegal to commit suicide. So the punishment suicide is death. Isn't it funny if somebody's trying to kill themselves and then regime's like, no, I'm gonna kill you before you kill yourself. That's how they do not give you any freedom. That's how they get the complete control over a person's life. So yes, hell yes, I would be homeless rather than being in North Korea. Rather being in the top elite who does not know when they're gonna be executed. And another thing is, in America now, I realize that, right, why people like I see on the streets, people literally injecting themselves like with the drugs and doing so much drug and dying and drinking and so much anarchy here I see. There's a more like chaos. And I think that's why it's our job is talking about what it means to be free. Freedom doesn't mean that you can just do whatever drug you want and be a homeless and not be a person doesn't take a responsibility. Freedom means it gives you the ability to choose a meaningful life that the way that you realize it, right? The way that I find my meaning is helping people and fighting for the people who doesn't have voice. But some people could be starting a business and do the other things, right? That is what freedom is. Not freedom is you blame other people and do not take a responsibility over your life and then become the burden to other people. That is not freedom. And this really angers me whenever this entitled people does not even know the real oppression and keep telling me they're oppressed and telling me that I am brainwashed to think that America is great. Anyway, guys, it's amazing to be in this journey with you. Thank you so much for your support and helping me and joining my Patreon. And despite YouTube demonetization, I am keep going strong because of your support on my Patreon, on the locals, guys. Thank you. And not just for my joining my channel, I do think, do you guys know China Uncensored? So the host of that show, Chris and Shirley, Matt, they are my friends. it is unbelievable what they're dealing with, this censorship, that we do now have to make a choice to support these platforms that promotes freedom of speech. The beauty of living in capitalism is I get to vote every single day by choosing the product that I wanna but that works for me. This is the thing, capitalism is direct democracy. You choose by buying the product, you vote. This is valuable and this is not valuable. So now it's time for us to take that vote and choosing a product that promotes our principles and basic human rights. So yeah, there are the locals is a community where they promote freedom of speech. They don't censor you. And I think Rumble it is. I haven't been active on it. And if there's other platforms, please let me know so we can all support them. But guys, thank you for your support. It's always an honor to speak with you, and I really hope that today's video helped those people wondering about immigrating to North Korea. And it wasn't coming from the ill wish. I just wanted to be helpful. So love you so much. Hope you have a wonderful week ahead, and I will see you soon in the next video. Have a good night, guys. I'm gonna go pick up my son now. Have a good night. Bye. Bye, everyone. Love you.